Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
(1989), the Berlin Wall collapses. As freedom spreads across Europe and the world, a new phenomenon takes personal freedoms beyond imaginable limits: the communications revolution. With the Soviet threat gone, numerous technologies held by Western militaries are released for public use.
The most famous, of course, is the internet, but in a less publicized move, the US Defense Department also releases huge amounts of spectrum or radio waves to the private sector.
You just have to go back to 1984 when the International Telecommunications Union had commissioned Lord Maitland to do a report, and he found that 55% of the world's population had not made even one single telephone call in their entire life.
Enter the wireless revolution.
Suddenly, homes and humans are no longer tied to landlines, as telecom companies compete to buy recently released airwaves to offer wireless or mobile phone services.
New cell phone companies suddenly become household names that dwarf legendary brands. In an India exuberant with reforms, next-gen entrepreneurs also see how cell phones can get their cash registers ringing. Ratan Tata, arguably India Inc.'s first telecom visionary, has been trying to get into telecom since 1983. Dhirubhai Ambani, bicycle maker Sunil Bharti Mittal and BPL's Rajiv Chandrasekhar all dream the same dream.
There's only one problem. Telecom is a highly regulated, government-controlled game. The government sets the rules and even chooses the players. It's also the umpire, the coach, the scorekeeper, and even a team owner. A deadly cocktail of power that induces massive corruption in many countries.
India's first cell phone czar is Sukhram. As Telecom Minister Narasimha Rao's government, he writes the National Telecom Policy of 1994 that kicks off the cell phone revolution. An unknown company, Himachal Futuristic, bids 85,925 crore, then 4 times India's defense budget, to provide basic services in just 9 of India's 21 telecom circles. Tata's, Ambani's and RPG Cellular offer just about 1/5 that amount.
Sukhram was arrested in 1996. He had been controversial long before that. Basically, he had formulated the telecom policy in 1994 and then the tenders in 1995 for 2 cellular and 2 basic operators in each circle outside the 4 metros. Now what happened is that certain operators bid huge amounts. Companies like Himachal Futuristic billed 85,000 crores.
Very soon problems began about whether companies would be able to pay those kinds of sums. And Mr. Sukhram, who was the then Minister for Communications, changed some of the rules after the auction. Many people believe that it was also carried out to bail out one of his allegedly favored companies, HFCL, which had got several licenses which the company was much too small to be able to afford.
And then they found they couldn't pay up, so they actually called what is capping, saying, you change the policy so that one operator cannot operate in more than 2 or 3 circles, and you let us walk away from our bids in other circles by changing the policy.
And then people believed that he had done it because he had been paid off, and these rumors were then given some more weight when the CBI or the police found some unaccounted for money.
He's raided and caught with 3.5 crores in cash and becomes India's first cabinet minister to be arrested.
Today, Telecom Minister Kapil Sibal blames the BJP-led NDA for moving away from auctions to giving away spectrum for free. But in reality, it was Sukhram's successor in the Deve Gowda government, the Samajwadi Party's Beni Prasad Verma, who was the first to give away 1.8 MHz of free spectrum to various operators.
It's one airborne megahertz pie. But what is free and what is paid for? Well, when a telecom company gets its license, 4.4 megahertz are included in the cost of the license, with the option to get an additional 1.8 megahertz later. But Beni Prasad Verma's largesse doesn't quite trickle down to the masses. At the time, India has just 3 lakh cell phones, and a call costs 16 rupees a minute, both incoming and outgoing. When the BJP-led NDA sweeps into power in 1998, the no-nonsense Jagmohan becomes telecom minister. He's too unbending to last long. Because policy and regulation are so crucial to telecom companies, they lobby hard and ruthlessly to get what they want. Telecom companies now ask Jagmohan to waive all the money they owe the government in license fees. Their argument? They made an error in bidding high and are now making losses.
Jagmohan was firm in his insistence that companies pay their dues, that they had bid in open auctions. And he insisted that these dues be cleared before any kind of settlement was done for future payments.
And the operators went and lobbied very strongly against Jagmohan with the then Prime Minister Vajpayee's government, and in fact succeeded in getting Jagmohan removed.
Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee now takes over the ministry. His Minister of State is the LJD's Ram Vilas Paswan. In an incredible move, Vajpayee and Paswan rewrite the rules of the telecom industry by creating the National Telecom Policy of 1999. Essentially, they write off all the money telecom companies owe the government in license fees. They also increase the duration of a telecom license from 10 years to 20 years for free. The loss to the government is humongous, 1.5 lakh crore. And this is real money, not a presumptive amount. At the time, India's defence budget was rupees 47,000 crore. Many experts admit the telecom industry needed a bailout. But unlike Western governments that take equity stakes in the companies they rescue, Vajpayee fails to do even this.
Whether this is because of clumsiness or connivance is unclear. The Comptroller and Auditor General report into the matter is still pending unattended with the Public Accounts Committee. So today we have a curious situation where the PAC is attending a report on the 2008 2G sale while ignoring the one on 1999. What the NDA did do is implement a revenue sharing system, where telecom companies give the exchequer about 10% of their top line. The NDA's National Telecom Policy of 1999 also clearly states that the government should not use spectrum to make money, but keep it cheap so as to allow the expansion of telecom.
So now the government raises money from the telecoms operators in 4 ways. The first is as a percentage of revenue of the adjusted annual gross revenues of the company as a license fee. Another percentage of the adjusted gross revenues of the operator as spectrum charges. And then corporate income tax and then service tax.
After handing so many sops to the telecom industry, Paswan is soon accused of collusion with telecom companies. He's moved out of his job in 2001.
Vajpayee now makes his blue-eyed boy Pramod Mahajan the telecom minister.
He proves to be even more industry-friendly, giving away 5.4 megahertz of spectrum to various telecom companies for free.
Mahajan takes a series of decisions, many too minute to make it into the media, but with a huge impact on the fortunes of companies.
For example, though the government decided to make incoming calls free in 1999, the decision is repeatedly postponed, essentially allowing telecom companies to corner double benefits for 4 years.
Callers also had to pay to receive calls, and you in fact had to pay a little over 16 rupees per minute to receive calls as well as to make calls. Because of various vested interests, the cellular operators wanted to keep making huge profits even for terminating a call. Therefore, it took until 2003 for the calling party pays to be implemented, and that of course led to the great increase in teledensity after 2003.
Corruption charges against Mahajan rise, with it widely said he's amassed a personal fortune of 2,500 crores.
Vajpayee now brings in Arun Shourie to clean up the Department of Telecom. From him all the way to A. Raja, we bring you the full story right after this short break.